Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the State of the City. You know, I was sitting back here thinking, looking at the crowd, and actually I looked at the chairs earlier today and I thought, yeah, there's no way. We're not going to fill up a room like this. You know, thinking back to the first State of the City, 4 years ago we started the State of the City, and I felt like I talked just to staff. You know, and well, there was 4 people. Carol Lehman was here the first one. So we have repeat customers, so I must not be too bad at what I do. But I really do appreciate everybody coming, and I do want to thank a couple people. I want to mention my dad over here in the hunter orange hat, and you know, this is his first State of the City, but I'm glad he's here. Shelby, my wife, up front here, and then all the staff in the back, and I seen Clay Longenecker in here, and Ron Conis from City Council, and Alan Sudart from Water 7, and then the fire department and the police department or sheriff's department. I should not call you police. Sorry, that was my bad. But I really do appreciate everybody coming. And we've got a lot of information. So if you've watched me speak before, especially on tonight, there's a ton of information. So I'm going to try to cover it as fast as I can so you're not here for the next 40 minutes. But you're probably going to be here for 40 minutes. So again, welcome. So Edgerton Citizen Surveys. Survey guides, priorities. So we started, since my mayorship, we started doing citizen surveys, you know, in really 2013, but 2015, which really started, the council uses to direct what we prioritize in the city. This year we'll also have a citizen survey come out. Everybody that's a citizen, hopefully you'll participate, because we do use it for our strategies going forward and how we focus, how we spend money, and so it's important that everybody participates in that. We only do citizen surveys every other year for the overall look at the city. But the last priorities that we had were the overall maintenance of city streets, buildings, and facilities, and the quality of parks and facilities as the second priority. So the number of walking trails, connectivity is what I'm going to call it, maintenance of city parks and equipment. And so we did some work on that. So we actually, in building foundations of infrastructure, so part of priority 1 or goal number 1, we did the West 8th Street sidewalk project. So that was the first time Edgerton has built connectivity from the Glendale Acres area up to the school area. That's the first straight through sidewalk. You know, I'll be honest with you, I couldn't believe a sidewalk project was quite as difficult as it was. I've not really ever seen a city have to condemn properties to make connectivity for school kids, but we did that because it was the right thing to do. And you know, now that the sidewalk's done, those that drive by can see it and be proud of it. It's heavily used. It gives access off of the road to walk instead of onto the roadway of West 8th Street. So it provides a lot more safe mode of walking across our community, especially for children. So 2017 annual street maintenance program completed a 2-inch asphalt overlay on 50% of the streets in Edgerton. You know, that's 50% of anything's huge anywhere, but for Edgerton, that was much more so than just laying 2 inches of asphalt. It was really covering up roads that were mostly gravel or chip and seal for always. They never really had asphalt on them. So that was a huge step forward for our community. Nelson Street road improvements. Really, this is the quiet zone area. So we had some push-outs, some asphalt push-outs there. So we come in and we added concrete and new curbs so that we could hold all that together and take out what seemed to be the constant dip in the road there to, again, improve the commute across town. So LPKC roads infrastructure, continued growth at LPKC. I'm going to talk a lot more, or I shouldn't say a lot more, but I am going to talk more about LPKC than tonight. But most notably is Essex Street, 193rd Street, a new traffic signal on 191st and Waverly. Phase 1 of 181st Street, which is connectivity to Coal Point area. And there was also work done last year on 181st Street or 183rd Street that with the connectivity to Gardner, which also added a piece of infrastructure that should limit the access for trucks through that area. Doesn't really stop them, but it makes it very difficult for them to go through those neighborhood streets. So that was an effort from Edgerton and North Point Development, Edgerton Land Holding Company, to be good neighbors. Again, building on our foundation and some of the projects we've been doing, but we did the Edgerton wastewater plant lift station. So in the past, we had a wastewater plant here for the residential area and one for LPKC. We added a lift station, encouraged heavily by KDHE that we do something with our old wastewater treatment plant. So we spent about $3 million putting in a lift station and building a line to the new wastewater plant out by Homestead and I-35. $3 million is a lot of money to a town of 1,700 people. But if we wouldn't have done that, then we would have been forced into building a new wastewater plant at about $12 million. So, you know, that's a significant savings to our citizens and to our ratepayers. Advanced metering infrastructure, AMI, water meter systems. This seems to be sometimes a social media thing that I see, well, here recently quite often. But, you know, prior to an AMI system, this is the most advanced water meter reading system that's out today. But prior to that, you know, we would read meters once a month. If you'd had a leak the day after we read it, then you would pay tremendously large water bills. This gives us an ability to check on those readings on regular. It actually feeds in via antenna back into the central system, and then we can check on those readings. And so we're implementing a process where we'll call or do door hangers on doors to notify people. But if anybody does have a leak, then we know that, and they get a repair, then they can always come, and we have a system where they can get a discount on their water bills. That is not a normal thing. Most utilities do not do that. So, you know, that's Edgerton trying to take care of Edgerton in reality without losing money on the way. So LPKC sewer infrastructure, growth at Logistics Park Kansas City is a big deal. Phase 2 LPKC sewer interceptor was constructed to connect buildings near Waverly and 191st Street. 2 new lift stations have been constructed. You know, that really is all those type of projects are actually paid for through the Public Infrastructure Fund that is funded by that growth out there. None of that money comes from citizens of Edgerton, so, but it does add a tremendous advantage to us to have infrastructure on and in the ground to attract additional businesses. So we can keep growing the community. Building a foundation of infrastructure again is for this year. We're going to do a water line replacement project, 2,100 linear feet of water line on Nelson Street. So really, basically across from the school all the way back down towards the fire station. That will replace all the remaining ductile iron pipe that we have, or cast iron pipe that we have in the ground, and then we'll be to a complete PVC system. I don't know of any other water systems are that advanced. So that's, again, that PVC will last 50 years and sometimes longer. So that will be a maintenance-free, to a degree, thing for us for a long time to come. West 3rd Street, south of 56 Highway, is the construction of a new roadway that will actually flow into the Dollar General store. Or Dollar General's parking lot will be just off the side of that, but that also opens up an additional couple of lots for additional growth in our community. So that was an investment by us to help stimulate additional growth in our residential community. Installation of water line along 56 Highway, again for the Dollar General. But it will also connect our system together at some point to loop that system in, so then you don't have dead ends in town. Nelson Street, 4th Street intersection and road construction right here at the corner of the City Hall. There's some potholes that are starting there, have been, but we're going to pull all that out and we'll put it back into concrete so that that doesn't get tore up and will last much longer than it has. Design of 207th Street grade separation. This 207th Street grade separation has been on my plate since I became mayor in 2009. You know, there was zero way for Edgerton to ever fund this project on our own. So when we negotiated with the railroad and originally the Allen Group, which became North Point Development, we made them pay for it. So the money is there, design has started, and we'll finally get an off-grade crossing for connectivity, and most certainly the driving force for me has always been for public safety, to connect both sides of the community to I-35. And that will also, which I've had questions about this in the past, is why didn't we have a quiet zone at 207th Street? Well, because we were always going to build this bridge, and we didn't want to spend a few $100,000. We would rather put it towards this off-grade crossing that betters the community in a holistic stance, instead of putting money there and then throwing it away later. Connecting the community, events and activities. You know, we started, since LPKC, we started Park and Recs. We did not have a Park and Rec department beforehand, but we're providing out-of-school activities for kids. We also have, for families, we have the summer kickoff block party. That event has grown to a few hundred people. It's kind of a fun, just community event, in my opinion. People come and go, but you know, there's no pressure to stay there. But I thought spirits are always lifted when I was there. People always seem to be happy, and so it's a growing but fun event, in my opinion. And then we also have seniors enjoy Friday lunch with Domino's. They have offered to let me in, Donna, don't take any offense to this, they have offered to let me play dominoes with them, but they are pretty competitive. And I'm not sure I'm up to the task, but maybe I can talk somebody like Ron Konis into doing that, Ron, or Clay. One of the council members can take my spot if you can compete. So, but we also recently launched a new city website. You know, it's going to provide easier access to data. It also has I think, a really unique component that we did not have on our old website, which is the ability to share things via LinkedIn, Facebook, so some of the Twitter, some of the social media aspects. So when that's all really running and smoothly, you'll be able to share right off of our webpage. It also has a place for people to put questions. We'll review those questions, or if you hear rumors, we can address those rumors on this page. You know, I really like this idea because I all the time hear things that supposedly we're doing or we're not doing that we could address with real factual information that could help people understand what's going on. So another big thing that we launched last year, but really is important, and I'm really pushing it now, is Notify Joco. Notify Joco is a system that we subscribe to that it will call you at home, it will call your cell phone or text you or email you, but we're using that for emergencies. We're using that to notify people of you know, things we cancel, Park and Rec events that get canceled. You know, so road closures. You know, that system is going to be very advantageous for people. It's free to sign up. And I would really encourage people to sign up, because that will make that system way better, and it'll make our ability to communicate with everybody better. There's an ability on that site to not just sign up for Edgerton. So the other people that participate in that, you can sign up. So if your kids are in daycare in Shawnee, you can sign up for Shawnee's also, and they'll send you alerts for that. So you can track more than just one city at a time, or more than one area. But it is a tremendous service that I highly encourage people to participate with. There's information up by the front too, or city staff could always get you information. Small town, huge heart. You know, this is, you know, last year I recognized some folks that really went out and did some volunteer work on a regular basis. And so I truly appreciate that, and that's what Edgerton's really built on, in my opinion, from a community aspect. Is community. Government is not community, citizens are community. And Edgerton's always done a tremendous job of sticking up for each other and doing things. This particular project, and you can see with some pictures, this particular project was a bathroom ADA remodel project. And so we took 2 bathrooms and ultimately turned it into one that was ADA accessible for Catherine Campbell, which lives up by the school. But it was about a $30,000 expenditure to remodel her bathroom. They did not have the funds. She's got MS, and She was on a regular basis calling our fire department for assistance when she would fall, and her this project, to my knowledge, last time I talked to her, she hasn't had to call for assistance yet. So it really added grab bars, added a roll-in shower for her, and it wasn't done with taxpayer money. It was done with our corporate sponsors. Our corporate sponsors paid for the entirety of it all. They actually even paid for, they donated the design for it too. So, you know, I really want to point that out as benefit that having corporate neighbors mean to us. Because again, talk about things we could never do. We could have never spent $30,000 on somebody's bathroom. We could have went over and built somebody a ramp. We could have done a lot of little things, but never did we have an ability to spend $30,000 out of the Mayor's Christmas Tree Fund and not do Christmas still. So the Mayor's Christmas Tree Fund has been helping in Christmas. We're doing about 7% of the population of Edgerton, which is a fairly decent number every year. But to add additional tasks and ability to help people that need it the most in our community, it's becoming a new thing that I hope to grow. Well, my goal is to grow that thing tremendously more and get it active in our community to help our community do even more things. Partnering with others. Big Bull Creek Park Phase 1, which is near Martin Creek Park or across the street. Well, I say that. It's really all the way, it's to our east almost everywhere. So it really separates Edgerton from Edgerton today, but it's about, well, it's 1,980 acres. It's actually a little bit more than that. That's the official number used by the county. Since that number was originally placed in the study they did, they bought 80 more acres. So it's a little over 2,000 acres today. They are in the process, opens second quarter this year. The actual entrance to this park, which is right out on Sunflower Road, kind of catty corner from our Martin Creek Park or the ball fields. You know, significant, there's multiple features involved in that. You can see their whole study online, but that's an investment of about $3 million in our community by our county, not counting the land purchase that they did about 19 years ago. I'm extremely happy to see that park actually start to become something. And it will be a regional attraction at the entrance to our community, which will drive immense traffic to our community that we can use for additional growth opportunities. Johnson County Fire District number 1. You know, you talk about who can say that the sheriff and the fire department aren't partners, because there's no one group or two. These groups do everything all the time, and you know, there's not a firefighter or a police officer that I know of that didn't sign up for the job to help somebody. You know, but more so than that, like Johnson County Fire District number 1, an ISO rating, which most people, other than maybe Tim Miller over there, that's an insurance guy, would understand. Plug for Tim Miller's insurance. But a bigger plug for the fire department for stepping up and going above what most fire departments do, dropping our ISO rating down to a 2 or maybe even a 1 in spots, but a 2, which should have significant insurance savings, Tim, to your home insurance, along with business insurance. But that is a particularly I mean, that's not something that firefighters really sign up to do. That's, you know, they do that because they're doing a great job for our community, and they have the ability to, within our district, compete with any fire department and do service above and beyond most departments. There's only about 500 fire departments that have an ISO of 2. Less than 500. And we are one of them, right? So I appreciate that, by the way. Johnson County Sheriff's Office. Johnson County Sheriff's Office, you know, we contracted with them many moons ago. You know, and I guess I should have some honesty. I remember going through that process years ago. I wasn't on council, so you can't blame me good or bad. But, you know, that was a pretty heavily fought deal through our community. But in the reality of the service that we've seen over the years, Johnson County Sheriff's Department has always provided professional expert assistance every time they've been called. I truly appreciate that, but they do more. Again, they step up more to help our community. Training Division hosts free classes available to the public. Held at the Johnson County Sheriff's Training Center in Olathe, a variety of public safety topics such as women's self-defense class and bullying awareness. They've also done some of these classes in town, so what was it, about a year or so ago, the school had some conversations about bullying in our schools. The Sheriff's Department came down to Edgerton and even offered a class for that. So one other plug for the Sheriff's Department, because it's a program that I've been through that I thought, I found it really, really interesting. The program has changed somewhat just to become better yet, is the Johnson County Sheriff's Citizens Academy. If you have not been through that, it's, 13 weeks or 16 weeks, once a week. There are some weekends in it, but you won't want to miss a week. I don't care how busy you are. It is fascinating. I don't care what your interest is. It is still fascinating. I don't know if they still do this. I thought the night that I would really hate was the night that we went through records, and I was utterly amazed at the number of records the Sheriff's Department keeps and the system. Your doctor's office doesn't have anything on these folks. They have it all for all ways. And there's opportunities to go to the range and shoot with them. And I don't know if they still do the driving, but you could drive the squad cars, or at least used to be able to. But I think there's two highlights that I would like to really bring out, which is, for me, was the ride along. So you see what it is kind of like to be a police officer or sheriff's officer in the area, and see what it is in real time, real life, which I think is something that most of us think we know, but we really don't. It's a little more interesting when they do a normal stop and somebody jumps out of their car, like happened with me. And starts coming towards, and then guns are pulled and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, I don't have one. That's not fair. But anyhow, but the ride along was really cool, and the criminal lab is super cool. So highly recommend that. The one thing that really the county recently did, like today, is they voted in to expand transit into Edgerton in a bigger way. So the KCATA and Johnson County Transit have partnered up to start providing more bus service to the LPKC Edgerton area. They will cover about half of the shifts that are located out there. So there's a few buses in the morning and there's a few buses in the afternoon. It's kind of a trial period right now to see how this works for employment, but there is an opportunity to get on a bus still more often than the one time they used to stop out front here and go back into Kansas City for a job. And the transit system also has some fairly cool options where if you don't have to feel like you're stuck if you're taking a bus to work. So they have an ability, or you have an ability if you're a bus rider, to make a phone call and get a ride home. If you have a sick child, they'll send a taxi or Uber to send you home. Once every other month, if that's needed. So no matter what the bus service says, if you're in LPKC and need to get home for whatever reason, it's a free service. So, I think that will expand our ability not just to get employment, but also for seniors that want to travel into town, that don't want to drive all the way into downtown Kansas City. There's some opportunity for all that, and that system is made and is fairly flexible, so it can change based on demand. So the more people that use it, even from our area, the better off we all are. Edgerton at a glance. So since 2009, since I became mayor, we have lowered our mill levy since I became mayor, that if you have a $150,000 home, for an Edgerton mill levy, you now pay $238 less than you did when I became mayor, per year, every year. Council, I can't take all the credit, so I gotta give a little bit away to, well, a lot away to staff, and most certainly the rest of the council. But as you can see on that chart to the right, we have been on a constant, or as much of a constant downgrade of that mill levy as we can. The important part to me is to lower that mill levy, but is also to provide more services to our community. so that we can attract more people, more residents, more commercial entities. I often hear that we want a grocery store. I'd love to announce one tonight. That's not going to happen. But, you know, some of that is what attracted Dollar General. You know, the ability to attract additional amenities to our community is based off of the cost associated with being here. And so it is a benefit to the businesses, but it most certainly is a benefit to us, the citizens, as well. So there's a breakdown in how taxes work. These are lumped together. If you look at your tax bill, some of that is way more expanded out. But USD 231 out of $1 collects about 45 cents. City of Edgerton is about 20 cents. Johnson County as a whole, not just the county itself, but the library and park district, is about 18 cents. Fire district number 1 is about 10 cents. State of Kansas is $1 or a penny. Well, they have an ability that none of the rest of those taxing jurisdictions do, which is income tax. So, but that's off of property tax. Okay. Fix me. I'll just keep talking then. That's what I do anyhow, right? Maybe I should take a drink while Beth is fixing this. I really wouldn't exist without Beth anymore. You might not know this about me, but I used to run a computer consulting business, and I don't even like computers anymore. So I don't even like my cell phone. But the next slide, when it actually comes up, is really going to be a dictation or showing. This slide here really shows what we've done since we've started growing Edgerton. So 2009 I became mayor. 2013 is when we opened the intermodal. But since that time, this is for all you other taxing jurisdictions out there. USD 231 is now seeing a net revenue growth yearly from the work we've done in Edgerton of $1,172,000 a year. That's while things are abated. That's while we're still building. And that's a pretty fantastic number, in my opinion, because that number will go up later yet. Well, maybe sooner than later. But Johnson County, Mr. Brown, $463,000 worth of new revenue. So we've minused out what they got before. We've built the infrastructure. County did most certainly help in the beginning of that. But those are impressive numbers. Fire district, $266,370. I know that I often will field questions from other taxing jurisdictions, like we're not doing our part to help them out. We have done our part to help them out, and we want to continue to do that. And Edgerton's probably, nationally in some aspects we are growing faster than anybody. In some aspects we are focused on. So. Okay, I hope you guys all read that. Here, let me read it for you. Planning for the future. We've been working diligently, to offset what I'm going to call the lottery syndrome. So, oftentimes when somebody wins the lottery, they go bankrupt because they don't know how to take care of their money. We know at some point we are going to see an immense influx of money from all the work we've done. So we have been diligently, as fast as we can, trying to put plans into place so that we can actually have a focus, so we don't squander money, and as we move forward. So most recently, Downtown Edgerton Plan describes the vision for downtown. We did some grant money, but really we looked at most of the commercial area. We looked at everything really from the railroad tracks down, almost to the school, all the way to all 56, so a fairly decent area. But that we had tremendous participation in the first community open house in that for input. So we do plan on rolling some of those plans out actually starting this year. So some of the plans that are going to come out of that plan will actually help us to revamp the intersection here at 4th and Nelson so that we can better deal with traffic today, but it also has a longer term vision on how we can deal with trucks and how we can get mobility around and direct people the way we want them. It has the framework to guide development in downtown that I think will pay off huge in our coming years. Design of a community center. This year, with the growth that we've seen, we get the opportunity to start doing public input. So we'll have a public input piece this year for a community center. You know, that public input, well, I mean, I hold that very highly in my book. So that community input will dictate how we focus as we move forward through that process. But it will be a tremendous opportunity, again, to fill a community need that we have been outgrowing for some time now. Citizen survey, I mentioned that earlier. This is the year that we redo our citizen survey so that I can make sure that we stay on the top priorities of our citizens. It's not about just what council thinks, because Edgerton City Council is really focused on what citizens think, but this is the easiest way to compile that information so that we can set the most clear vision for us moving forward for the next few years. Growing Edgerton, Tom Reeder's in this room somewhere, but we actually started a group called Elevate Edgerton, which is an economic development group. Tom is the interim president of that. Many folks may think that we did that to focus on industrial growth. From an Edgerton perspective, it's quite contrary to that. We're really focused on everything other than industrial growth. Residential, commercial, hotels, truck stops, everything else to grow our community. That organization most certainly does still work on the industrial piece, but is a tremendous asset that is focused entirely on the community of Edgerton. You know, I will definitely give some credit to Elevate Edgerton for the Dollar General store. They are a front-end contact for businesses like Dollar General. And then I want to mention a couple of new businesses that have recently shown up in the town, but Dee's Liquor, Ronak is here somewhere. Oh, he's hiding. He's hiding in the second to the back row. And Patty's Salon. Just did a ribbon cutting for Patty's Salon, you know, downtown. So the real point to that is, you know, for both of these people, they've made a true investment in the community. You know, and my hopes and dreams is that the community really comes out and supports these new businesses and the current businesses, because they won't make it if people don't support them. So recently, we've annexed about 575 acres on the south side of I-35 and Homestead. It was about for an acreage growth, that was about a 25% growth for the community of Edgerton. So that's a huge step in growth moving forward. I will talk a little bit more about that as we move forward. Some of the businesses that we've seen outside of downtown or outside of the residential area, Spectrum Brands, hardware and home improvements, so not Spectrum Cable TV, which actually caused them some problems because Spectrum TV changed their name and logo to kind of match these guys. But Spectrum Brands, you know, supplies all kinds of stuff to every hardware store around here. They're actually a Fortune 7 company. So if on comparison of size, that is almost as big as you could possibly be. UPS opened in November of 2017. The ribbon cutting, which actually was really cool when they pulled the UPS truck out. If you haven't drove down Homestead in the morning, that's, you know, I don't know, say 9 o'clock, somewhere in that time. I've not ever seen so many brown trucks in my life. So, but it's pretty fascinating to have a great partner like UPS. They have really stepped up to the plate, and they're getting involved everywhere. And, you know, they have some unique opportunities that I think a lot of companies have, but if, you know, somebody has a kid that wants to go to college, they have a really good college tuition assistance program. They have to work to earn that, but it's really good. The pay's not bad. So as they go to college, it is hard work, and the Christmas season can be pretty brutal. But another interesting tidbit about UPS, if anybody's looking for a career change, if you can make it to be a UPS driver, they make about $100,000 a year. So that's not, that's not what people consider jobs in an industrial park. But it was most certainly more than I had expected a UPS driver to make, but they do work for their money. Midwest Gateway is really a new developer in our community. They 2 buildings, but almost 500,000 square foot in total, which really is opening up another segment of business for us. So their focus is more about flex space, smaller warehouse. They can do, this slide actually says they can do 50 to 300,000 square foot. I've talked to them, they can actually, if you want to lease a little smaller space, I think they can get you down to 30,000 square foot. You know, if you want to, just let me know. I'll tell you the pricing, and then we can talk after that. It's not really my job, by the way. So LPKC. LPKC and the growth of LPKC has been rather huge. So in 2009, when we negotiated this park, we were working down the theory that we would grow this park in 15 to 20 years. We thought we'd do about 7.2 million square foot in that 15 to 20 years. Today, we sit at about 11 million square foot. That's 4 years ago since we actually went vertical. And we just annexed this red area on this right map. We just annexed that area, but that area is more important than just the annexation because the annexation was bigger. That is an area called Project Mustang, which actually Tuesday night went through Planning Commission. So we're about halfway through Planning Commission now. So preliminary stuff has been sent to council to vote on. But that is going, if it all passes, it's in process, so I guess things could always change. That's about 3 million square foot of warehousing that will actually have a slight twist to it. So the third building would be some type of manufacturing element to it. That building's not being built immediately, but 3 million square foot in one tranche is big. This park, if you look up here, and if your eyesight's really good, you could probably see some things that most people don't know, but I'm going to tell you anyhow. Don't tell my partners in crime of this, but Hopkins Manufacturing has just signed a lease out at LPKC to take half of IP6, is that 6 or 8? IP6 and import 8. So that is now our newest corporate resident. So Hopkins will be filling that building, or at least half of that building up over the next few months, and soon occupying. Soon after that, it'd be my thought. We'll see. The process can always dictate. The process really dictates this, but Project Mustang at 3 million square foot is. I can say this much about it. It is somebody that is already located in Edgerton that needed more space. This is not the first time we've seen people in LPKC that need more space. The most extreme example of that I have is actually Jet.com, which actually has been bought out by Walmart, but they still operate under Jet. Jet.com, when they first opened up in Edgerton, had 6 employees. Around Christmas season, they had about 1,900 employees. You know, growth in Edgerton is not just in buildings. It sometimes grows within the companies themselves. So I think I'm honored to serve as mayor, and I know council feels the same. But I wanted to kind of outline that this has been a ton of work, folks. This isn't easy, but there's a ton of good, as you should see from the numbers, and actually from the results. That's more important to me, that we see the results. You know, paving 50% 2-inch overlay and paving 50% of the roads in town is not a small task for any town. You know, and as we continue to go forward, and as things continue to grow, we'll have more and more opportunities to do great things for you. But I'd stand for any questions if anybody has any questions. All right, cool. Thanks. Have a great night.